Hey YouTube, Kira Qualia here, bringing you all my future card Buddyfight Nanomachine Ninja Tsukikage Katana World deck profile for April 2020. This is one of the original future card Buddyfight decks, being one of the first for Katana World, one used by Zanya in the original anime. We actually got a new form of Nanomachine Ninja Tsukikage in the form of a Revival Buddy unit, which definitely does help for the overall playstyle of the Nanomachine Ninja Tsukikage deck, being part of the Ninja tribute for Buddyfight, focusing on just calling out a bunch of different ninja units and then being able to form them together into the main boss unit of the deck, which is Gojin Maru. Also assisting with the deck is Tsukikage's younger brother, Byakuya, for all the different Shadow Dive plays, using all the different ninja spells as well for all the different plays we can do in the deck. It's a lot of fun. Originally did put it together for a friend of ours, so this deck is actually a gift waiting for our one friend to come back and play card games with us. But until then, I figured we'd make the deck profile for the deck, since it's definitely a lot of fun when we've been testing it out for him and how we've super powered up the deck. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So obviously we already stated that this world is for Katana World, being the Tsukikage deck. Decided to have my main buddy for the deck being Nanomachine Ninja Tsukikage Re-B or Revival Buddy. For the main part of the deck, I'm running 4 Nanomachine Ninja Tsukikage Revival Buddy. With this card, it has a Nanomachine Clone ability. When this card enters the field, you put up to 2 size 1 Katana World monsters with different card names other than Nanomachine Ninja Tsukikage Revival Buddy from your deck into your hand and shuffle your deck. If you put 2, drop a hand card, and Nanomachine Clone only activates once per turn. So it's basically the discard for searching out 2 different ninjas which you run in the deck, which we also have a different form of Tsukikage in the deck along with his brother Byakuya that just help for the overall plays that you can do with your main overturn unit, which is also Gojin Maru in the deck. So for this card, just for the search power alone, definitely does come in handy. And it also has a counter ability. Choose a monster on your field, you may drop a hand card. If you do for this turn, the next time the chosen card leaves the field remains on the field. So paying an homage to Tsukikage's original ability, just being able to nanomachine body replacement, basically. So you could just protect this card. You won't take any penetrate damage. You won't take any attack damage, destruction, you name it. As long as you use this counter skill, you'll be able to keep that card alive. It can even be used on Tsukikage himself. So for this is definitely needed for the ninja deck. Works very, very well with all the other ninja arts we run as well. For the spells, just being discard fodder if we have initial ones in our hand to use also. For the other Tsukikage in the deck, I run 4 Soar Speed Moonglow Tsukikage. With this one, its call cost is pay 1 life, so you don't have to use up any of your gauge. You can save for other cards in the deck. When this card enters the field, you may drop a hand card. If you do, put up to 1 monster with Gojin Maru and its card name from your deck in your hand and shuffle your deck. So Gojin Maru, which we'll get to in a bit, is one of your main go-to size 2 monsters we run in the deck with the overturn ability. And if this card is in the soul of a ninja monster or on the field, they all get plus 3,000 attack, defense, and critical plus 1. So this just boosts up your Gojin Maru and all your other ninjas on the field for pressure. It doesn't have double attack or any other ability, relying solely on the soul effect and the search effect you can do with your Soar Speed Moonglow Tsukikage. You want to build up that Gojin Maru play by combining it with Byakuya or any of the other ninjas you run the deck for that ultimate play you can do. Having this and then also just the setup for your Tsukikage Re-B is definitely your go-to for all your protection plays also. But for some of the more backup cards for the deck, I'm also running 4 Soar Speed Moonglow Byakuya. You pay 1 life for the call cost of this card as well. With this one having the counter ability, you may drop a Ninja Arts from your hand. If you do, stand this card. And Shadow Dive, this card can attack your opponent even if they have a monster on the center. And if this card on your field or in the soul of a ninja monster on the field, it cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effect. So basically, you'll place both of your Soar Speed Moonglow Tsukikage and your Soar Speed Moonglow Byakuya into the soul of Gojin Maru to ultimately power up the card, along with also giving it the prevention of being destroyed by your opponent's card effect. So super buffed up, size 2 as well in the game. Definitely does come in handy, since you can easily all just search out both of these cards with your Nanomachine Tsukikage Ribi, which I'll show the play at the end of the video for what you can do to have this easy setup with just one card in your hand. For additional ninja cards, I'm also running 3 Electron Ninja Shiden. Thought about running 4 of this. If I were to add in a 4th one, I'll show what card I would take out for the 4th copy of this card. With its ability Cyber Analysis, you may discard a Ninja Arts card from your hand and pay 1 gauge. If you do, draw 2 cards. So this card is just draw power, which is very, very useful when you need that specific card in your hand to use for all your plays. But like I said, if you want to run a 4th copy, I'll take out one of the other size 1 ninjas that I'll show towards the end of the monster count. But our main go-to boss monster is Overturn Ghoul Deity Gojin Maru. With this one, its call cost is put 2 monsters from your field into its soul and pay 2 gauge. When you cast a spell for this turn, this card gets triple attack and counter attack, and its overturn is during your attack phase, you may drop a hand card. For this turn, all cards on your field can attack your opponent, even if your opponent has a monster on their center, and it gets critical +1. So having triple attack and also being able to attack your opponent, even if they have a monster in the center, along with the critical buildup you can do with your Soar Speed Moonglow Tsukikage, as well as having the prevention of destruction with Byakuya in its soul, you could potentially, if all the attacks hit, attack your opponent right for game then and there, since this card will have 12 critical in total dealt to your opponent with its triple attack, and also just being able to easily cast a Ninja Art spell after you use this card also. So you definitely want 4 of it, just in case your opponent somehow manages to, let's say, bounce it back to your hand, or, you know, remove the Byakuya from the soul to destroy it. You want to have more copies because you have plenty of size 1 ninjas to call out with this deck as well. So relying on this card as your boss monster is definitely the go-to card. And I also run 2 low-rank ninja Mikazuki Maru. With this one, group training when it enters the field. If you have another size 1 ninja on the field, draw a card. It only activates once per turn, but just that setup for your hand cards definitely does come in handy for the overall plays you can do for protection with your Nanomachine Ninja Tsukikage Revival Buddy as well on the field. So just this additional draw power for your size 1. Plus, you know, you just need 2 ninja monsters on your field to put in the soul of Gojin Maru for you to be able to call this card out. So you can even use this card if you don't have the Byakuya or, you know, Tsukikage on the field to use as well. And I'm also running 4 Magnetic Ninja Magnetojiro. Now, if you wanted to put in a 4th Shiden, this would be the card that you could drop down to 3. This card cannot be called to the center, and with Deployed Magnetic Field, if you have monsters on your left and right and not on your center, all cards in your opponent's field cannot attack monsters on your left and right, and it gets critical +1. So just more of a defensive tactic with this card, being able to protect yourself against your opponent. But like I say, it's more situational depending on the play you're going for also, because then you can have Gojin Maru on your left and this card on the right, and then make sure your opponent can't destroy that card, as long as you have more additional protection for your plays when your opponent goes to attack you also. And that is it for the monsters. When I move on to the spells, I run 2 Ninja Arts map flipping technique. You pay 2 gauge. You want to cast this when your opponent calls a size 2 or less monster. You nullify the call. So it's just a generic Ninja Arts spell that definitely does help when you have that gauge buildup, which we can easily do with a bunch of the other spells we run in the deck as well. For this setup, just being able to nullify the call is definitely strong, since it can take away from one of your opponent's main go-to plays as well in the deck. And I also run 2 Art of Explosive Hades Fall. You pay 1 gauge and choose a card from your deck and put it into this card's soul face down and shuffle your deck. When a monster enters your opponent's field, you may put all the soul in this card's soul to your drop zone. If you do, you destroy it, and it's the same size of the monster that entered the field. You destroy that monster and deal 2 damage to your opponent. So it's a guessing game with your opponent depending on what card you have. We only have the size 1 and 2s to go with, but that's a good majority of what your opponent may call, and just be able to rely on, you know, an additional Gojin Maru for this card in the soul of your Art of Explosive Hades Falls means that they could take potentially the 2 damage that they needed to stay alive in the game as well. For some of the other ninja arts, I only have 1 ninja art Snake Gaze. I definitely do want to run some more of this card, but I'll show what I would take out for additional copies of it if I were to run more than likely some of the impacts that we run in the deck as well. But when we get to that, it's just a pay 1 life to rest a monster in your opponent's field, which can definitely help just taking away the multiple attacks you can do against your opponent. Also, at 1 on the regular list is Demon Way Sakura Fubuki, but just a spell negation for a nullify of your opponent's spell by paying 2 life. Once again, very, very useful since it doesn't eat up your gauge. And for some of the gauge buildup, I am running 3 Clear Serenity. That's counter, put the top 3 cards of your deck in your gauge. You only cost to cast this card once per turn. It's no other cost to use this card, no life, no discard or anything like that. Just a once per turn, but that 3 gauge can definitely help with a lot of different cards in your deck, including impacts, you name it. So having 3 of this definitely does come in handy. And for more gauge buildup, I run 3 Ration Art of Stored Electricity. Put the top 2 cards of your deck in your gauge. Then if you have 5 life or less, you put 2 more. So it's a 4 gauge build, but this one's more situational than your Clear Serenity, since you have to have 5 life or less to get the full 4 gauge benefit. And I also run 4 Art of Body Replacement. If you end up wanting to keep the impacts that we run in the deck, you can adjust the numbers of how many of this card you may want to run in the deck with your Snake Gaze, adding in maybe like 2 or 3 more additional Snake Gaze in replacements for Art of Body Replacement. You may only cast this during attacking your opponent's turn, counter if it's not a link attack, and nullify the attack. So just a shield option for this, and also being a ninja art spell, works very, very well with some of the other discard costs, including Shiden in the deck. But for the impacts that we run as well, for the overall setup of the main play in the deck, I run 4 Secret Sword Lethal Formation. Set, this card remains on the field. Cast cost, choose a card from your hand, deck, or drop zone and put it face down into this card's soul. If you search your deck, shuffle it, you may look at this card's soul and cast a Secret Sword from the soul by paying its cast cost. So this is the main way to use your impacts with this deck as well. Using your Secret Sword Lethal Formation, then when your opponent activates a specific card on their field, you can activate the impact you place in this card's soul. With those impacts being 1 Secret Sword, a shooting star. It deals 3 damage to your opponent when you are being attacked by an opponent's weapon. So it's situational, that's why we're only running 1, depending on the deck you're going up against. 1 Secret Sword Dragon Vanquish Formation. When your opponent calls a monster with dragon its attribute, which can happen a good amount of times with a lot of the different decks we have out there, so very, very useful as well. And 1 Secret Sword Moonfang, when your opponent card casts an impact. Now, the one thing I don't have is the Secret Sword that relies on the spell activation. If you wanted to, you can replace the Dragon Vanquish Formation with that one, and then keep the other ones. And I also run 2 Secret Sword Wave Splitting Arc Fang. You deal 2 damage to your opponent when a card on your field's attack was nullified. For the deal 2 damage, definitely a lot easier to use, and then you also stand a card on your field. And if it was a card from this card's soul, it can attack again, making up for the attack that was nullified along with this card also. If you want to keep the Art of Body Replacements in the deck, you can take out the 2 Splitting Arc Fang and then put in 2 more Snake Gaze for this card's replacement as well in the deck. But your main go-to play obviously being with your Nanomachine Ninja Tsukikage Revival Buddy. With this one, you just need 1 card to make the play. So with this card, you'll basically call out your Nanomachine Ninja Tsukikage, and I always like to call this card to the right or left. When it enters the field, you put up to 2 size 1 Katana World monsters from your deck to your hand. So you'll add Tsukikage and also your Byakuya. Having a pay 1 life cost for all these, you'll be able to save the 2 gauge you have, and having the 3 additional gauge is just helpful for some of your other cards. You'll call this out, you'll discard your other card, you'll call out your Tsukikage for the pay 1 life, and use Tsukikage's skill to call and add Gojin Maru to your hand. You'll call Byakuya out as well, and then you will pay putting 2 monsters and paying 2 gauge into the soul of this card as well. So you can place Gojin Maru on the center as well, and with that you'll have your Gojin Maru and your Tsukikage Re-B all set up on the field, with this being your only initial card in your hand, and for just discarding 1 card for it, as long as you have the other ninja art to cast during the attack step, you'll be able to get Gojin Maru's Overturn active as well with the triple attack and counter attack, and with all the additional cards in your hand, if your opponent were to try and destroy Gojin Maru, or if the next time it would leave the field in any way, you can just discard a card for Tsukikage and it will remain on the field. And like I said, I like to have Gojin Maru on the center because that's the one they'll try to go for destruction most of the time, which you can easily protect it, or Tsukikage with Tsukikage Revival Buddy's own skill. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoy the video. Definitely great to pay an homage to the original Tsukikage deck. It's a lot of fun. I hope our buddy likes it as well once we finally give the deck to him. But until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And Kira Qualia out.